Okay, hello, welcome to Spirit Talk, and thanks for joining us. This is where we meet and get together on the first Friday of every month at noon to explore different spiritual and metaphysical topics in depth. I'm here with clairvoyant Reverend Ginny Brown and clairsentient Scout Bartlett, and I'm your host and astrologer, Christopher Mitchell. Basically, they do the psychic stuff, and I do the astrology stuff and ask questions. Today, we're going to be talking about the theme of the School of Earth. So, all about this realm, why we come here, what it's all about. And to start off, I thought I would just hand it over to Ginny and Scout and let both of them kind of lay a framework or groundwork of how they see this realm, and we can go from there. So, if either of them would like to jump in and share a bit about how Earth School works, we'll start there.
Scout's giving me the mic, which is a finger pointed my way or this way, whichever we are for each other. Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to Spirit Talk. And, Earth is an interesting place. There's a lot of ways to view the School of Earth. And one of the most famous ways of looking at it is like through the creation story. And to see God is giving us an opportunity, giving his son, Adam, the opportunity to experiment being a creator. And in the fall of Adam and the fall of into the realm of Earth, Adam was kind of tempted into the situation by eating from the tree of knowledge, which is also the tree of good and evil. There was only one tree in the Garden of Eden that once that apple was taken a bite of, it wasn't a punishment to like fall into the earth realm. It was an opportunity to see clearly and to be able to create without kind of God's will guiding, the choices so directly. Like if you think about angels, they don't have a choice. They just do God's will. As mankind, we have choice. And when we fell into this realm gives us this opportunity to use our choice and to use that to create good or to create evil, and also to kind of get clear and experiment inside those poles or the sense of duality as a whole. And so this is a very layered kind of conversation. So what is the School of Earth? To shorten that, or to kind of give an abbreviated definition, I would say it's a training realm for creators where we're learning about duality and cause and effect. And I'll hand it over to Scout.
That was really pretty. I don't know that
Thanks.
I can do it that pretty. Some while back, I got taken into a vision. And I will say a lot of times my visions come about because I'm in a whiny modality and I'm whining to God and creation and guidance in the universe. Why? And then I get a why back in uh, I never know how long those visions are. I just know that they're so rich and so deep, they feel like they were huge amounts of time, and they probably weren't. But my vision's creation story goes this way. In the beginning, there was um, a unified and purely aligned flow of energy floating in whatever it is that a singularity or a unified flow of energy might float in. In English, we don't have the word God. And so this purely aligned wholeness came across a jumble of energy threads that weren't aligned to anything. And in the Bible, they refer to that as God looked out and saw no thing. Now, in the years of copying it, it got typoed into nothing, but no thing, the same way that a pile of lumber is no thing. It is lumber, but it's not a house or a garage or an office yet. It's no thing. And God said, let there be light, which is not like, gee, I need sunglasses, but more along the lines of let this be aligned and elevated in frequency to match the original wholeness. And so each of us is a fragment of that original wholeness that fragmented out and took on our scoop of this random jumble of energy threads, with our role being to untangle these random threads, draw them into alignment, and then elevate them into frequency till they match with that original wholeness. Or we go out as a small fragment, we take on a big clump, we come back as a big aligned clump, and thus God grows. And everything we do, I happen to have a multiple lifetime view of life, as in that we each come back and do our lessons through multiple lifetime, but it works if it's a one lifetime deal, or even if each of those lifetimes is a Seth model of individual fragments of a larger group soul. It all works. But in each lifetime, what we're doing is we're taking on a portion, a sampling, a curriculum of that jumble of energy that we're going to take on that time to untangle, bring into alignment, and elevate. And so even the word karma becomes not a punishment, exactly as Ginny was saying, not a punishment, but rather karma is our agreement that we took on this portion of the group project. And karma is just, if you've ever tried to get a knot out of a fine gold chain, sometimes you think you got it and you pull on that loop and the knot goes tighter, and then you do whatever your version of swear words are. Or maybe you don't, I do. And then you try to rework that knot again. Well, in some lifetimes through, we're trying to untangle, I don't know, let's say concepts around separation and death. I seem to be doing that one this life. And so in some lifetimes, maybe we come in and we do that by getting dead in a hurry. And sometimes we do that by making somebody else dead in a hurry. And sometimes we do that by getting dead really slowly. And sometimes we do that by barely coming in and leaving again. And we keep working at that till we find the angle that lets us untangle that particular thread. Now, energetically, these knots show up as psychological and emotional and even physiological stuff. And so the process School of Earth is literally us incarnate, which I always think of the same root word as carne asada. So I kind of think of it as in the meat. So when we're in the meat with our meat puppet, we have slowed ourselves down to match to the frequencies of the tangle so that we can actually work on the tangle, because we can't work on it when we're not matched to the same frequency. The same way that if I'm watching you on video and you're trying to assemble a piece of IKEA furniture, I can holler all kinds of my good insights, but I can't actually pick the pieces up and hand them to you. I have to actually be where the IKEA pieces are. So it's kind of the jumble, tangle, IKEA version of School of Life.
I love that, Scott.
It's interesting. One of the questions I had for today was something like, is there one set core lesson that everyone's working on? Like everyone at School of Earth is trying to master the same curriculum, or is it like a college campus where there's lots of different souls gathered together, studying different things in different ways? And when I just heard your take on how that works, Scout, I can kind of see how it includes both. That all of us are working with the energy of taking a tangle of stuff and aligning it, um, transforming darkness to light, fear to love, shadow to light. But we all have different tangles, which are like different classes, and we're doing it in different ways according to the tangle that we've gathered. Would that be a good way to put it?
Piece I like to really remind is two parts that are really important to me. One being, it's a group project that we volunteered to join in. So there is that place that if there's 25 pickup trucks full of sand that we have to unload to make our fake beach for our party, but we all volunteered to do it and we've got 6 weeks to do it. Some days we get really whiny and why do I have to shovel sand? And some days it's like the sand is never going to be done, but it's just our particular 2 pickup truckloads that we volunteered to unload. The other piece that I really like to underline is when we went into that random tangle, we each took our own scoop. And it's sort of like the next phase is, I refer to it as the Baskin Robbins of karma. You could think of it that we went along the line and we each took on certain scoops of various forms of separateness or shadow. We each took on various scoops of it. And so sometimes, you know how we are. We look back and we see our 6 friends in line in the cafeteria line behind us, and we go, wow, if I take 6 scoops of, I don't know, dog breath awfulness, they don't have to take any. And so One, when you're being whiny that you took 36 scoops of dog breath awfulness, yeah, well, you volunteered, how nice of you. But the most important part is when you encounter somebody that's got a tremendous amount of some other awfulness that you have none of, and that you can't even fathom being that far off the mark, in your mind just go, dude, thanks for taking all of that in the line ahead of me so that I don't have any of it. But yeah, we've got our clump in each individual lifetime. We take on a portion of that clump as being our primary study for the time. The unifying overall is that we're all here to get it all untangled. But some took more scoops of some and some took more scoops of others. And some of us have already worked through our dog breath scoops. And now we're on the, I don't care, some other awfulness scoop. And some of us are in a lifetime that we might, you know what? I worked really hard last lifetime. Let me just sort of like end up with a rich parent and I don't have to do anything. And I just get to learn how it is if I always have my own way.
Yes. And the themes, I kind of look at us as one unified body, right? And in the creation story, it talks a lot about that as Adam is one being, right? Eve was created from Adam. They're still uh, one being, just a different expression of masculine and feminine energy, which we experience here on Earth, to kind of give us a relation point to that. But all of us, and I kind of look at exactly what Scout is talking about in themes of chakras. So, like, say, I'm a part of Adam, right? I'm a part of that singular being, and I'm here focused on survival issues, like how to feed, clothe myself. And through that, I heal wounds around separation. From as I see it, the main wound of mankind is that we all feel separate from God. Like everyone has an abandonment issue, and so we're all working on that, because the choice to kind of come to this realm and to work on this was to have a closed and sealed environment away from God, to be in charge and using our free will and our karma as a guide for us. So that can be we all have issues from that with time to time. The Scout was talking about with the sand, right? It's like, but I don't want to do this. Can't someone else do this for me? Or we look to kind of escape that lesson, but it does circle back around. It is an important part of what we're here to do as that unified being. So I'm here working on survival, someone else is here working on heart themes, someone else is working on communication themes. They all kind of connect into these different parts of what I see to be a unified being. And it's not that one is better. As you can see, a lot of people who are drawn to like the political system are third chakra people. They're here to learn and to untangle the threads around power and what to do with power, right? And so kind of like the master's degree that you're here to study in this life, you can really start to kind of see it like showcase through the kind of constant themes that you experience in your life, right? Like if you always are kind of like in the throes and questions about love, you're probably in the heart chakra, and there's no judgment. Like we all need to be in these different areas. It's kind of like the body, our physical body. Does the heart judge the liver, or do they kind of work together, right? Because everything has its own function. And just as Scout put it, it's for the unified ascension.
What comes to mind for me with that is that like everyone at that college campus, they're all learning different things in different ways, but they're all part of this general body that has a theme of educating um, and like evolving minds and beings, or that every cell in our body might have a different role. One is a finger cell, one is a bone marrow cell, one is a brain cell, but they're all part of the project of being a body. Or even the individual astrology charts, and which shows kind of the karma and the energy that we all carry. Those are all different snapshots of the same solar system, just moving around in different ways. And yeah, it's really interesting. As I'm hearing this, I'm thinking about this project that we're all in, cleaning up the beach, cleaning up the tangles. Is it something that has a finitude to it, or a completion point where it all gets done in a couple 100,000 million years, and we all kind of go back to being one complete wholeness? And if it's not too mind bending, how does that work when from outside of the human perspective, there isn't time, you know?
I would never suggest looking for some finite goal, like especially to look to get off this planet. I think that's a really big wound that a lot of people carry. Like, what do I need to do to get out of here? And that's usually means that you have a lot of karma to still work on this plane. So I suggest not looking at it in that way. Do people graduate from Earth plane? I would say yes. I would say Jesus and Buddha and Krishna have graduated the earth plane, and probably a lot of others that went, without the fame of those three specifically. But are they still here? Do they still work? Are they, is their energy still a part of our lessons and our growth plan and all of that? I would say very much so, yes. So when you graduate from Earth, you do get to go study other planets, other places with other themes. But while here on Earth, and just kind of from what I've studied, we kind of take out a contract. When you come here to do the work, right? And it's not like kind of a flippant decision where you just get to kind of decide to leave, come and go and leave, and just kind of abandon this project. This is something we're all here to do. And the purpose inside it is to kind of come together in that energy of love and to reunify with Creator. And so that could be, not only like one lifetime, but billions of lifetimes. And we've been doing it for a long time, because here is the only place we experience time. So, it's not something I would, it's kind of like the greyhound at the track. There's the rabbit, they're chasing after it. The goal isn't to catch the rabbit, it's just a motivator, right? So, kind of looking at leaving the planet in that way, I think is a good thing. Like, I want to resolve all the karma I can in this lifetime so that the next one is easier, and that I know that I'm moving in the most loving way possible, back to source.
I love this. I love this gig. Thank you guys. This is so much fun to come play with you guys and to get to hang out and then get to be one of the people that talks too. I like that part too. So for the rest of you that don't get that part, yeah, bummer. But in that same vision that we talked about earlier of an original wholeness finds a jumble, there is a place where eventually all the jumble gets unjumbled and gets added into the original wholeness, and God grows and we move forward. So yeah, we do eventually rejoin. Tried to get the word atonement together with rejoin and it didn't work. But we do eventually rejoin in atonement or at one meant. But we are essentially at this, nicely done. We are at this moment in time because we are at this moment in time. We're effectively a link between Father God and Mother Earth with us in between. That works. So we're effectively a link between that Mother Earth part, that Father God part, two different energetic dimensionalities. And our role is to uplift, transmute, transform physical level energy until it reaches the frequency and the alignment with source, and it all becomes unified. Now, the tricky part is every now and then I see what looks to me to be confusion about, well, I wasn't on Earth. I'm from the the left elbow galaxy of the third thumb sun. I don't know. I just don't want to use any names to bother anybody. But really, Earth is a lot like when I first moved to San Francisco. When I first moved to San Francisco from Kansas, bit of a shock. But I was living in the city in San Francisco, and so I was young and socializing in San Francisco. And I think I'd lived there for a year and a half before I met anybody who was from San Francisco. Everybody was from somewhere else. And they had brought their somewhere elseness to a magnet, which was San Francisco, for whatever cool and trendy reasons that San Francisco drew them there. You know, the same way that the same way that Silicon Valley is a magnet school for people with Asperger's. I'm going to get mail about that one, but just ponder it. Engineers, whatever. Um, all of us have done study in reality systems that were whatever word the word was there for home. Earth is simply the word for home. All of us have done studies in reality systems that weren't Earth. I know I did studies in a reality system that was called Atlantis. Now, it turned out Atlantis got revved up to the point where it boop, popped up a notch and became Earth. Not an island that sank, it's a reality system. And Earth is just a reality system that we experience as a ball of matter, well, or a flat thing, depending upon your viewpoint, that I experience as a ball of matter with oceans and stuff and a planet. It's just a reality system. It's not, everything is energy, and that's such a big thing to try and stretch to. Earth is not a planet in a star system, in a galaxy, in a universe. It's energy. It's a reality system as we experience it. Many of y'all that have sensitivities recognize there are other frequencies that pass right through you, even though they're not here and you're here. Yeah, that just spun a lot of brains. We'll move on, Scott. It's a reality system. And so, is there a point that we graduate? We're in the process right now of elevating reality system Earth from, my guidance likes to refer to it, from being a third grade classroom frequency to being a fourth grade classroom frequency. That's why we're seeing all this amazing, spectacular polarity. That's no longer a whole lot of mid-ground. You're either, you're either with this side of the polarity or you're with that side of the polarity, depending upon whether you wear a hat or a mask or get a shot or whatever other dividers, but it's this amazing polarity where we're no longer so much interwoven as polarized. And that's a portion of this ongoing increase of energy. Guidance has talked to me about this for a couple decades, about what this would look like. And, it's sort of handy in that the same way that the first time I ripped up my knee, and, after my mom taught me, clean it, get the dirt out, put the antiseptic on, put the bandage on, now leave it the heck alone. That when it started itching, my mom was available to teach me itching means healing. Don't rip at it. And it doesn't mean that your leg's going to rot off. Itching means healing. Well, guidance gave me all of these signals that we're seeing on our planet right now. I'm not trying to do a, end of times, but guidance gave me all of these signals that we're seeing right now that sort of like, oh yeah, itching means healing. That means that as crazy as Earth life looks at the moment, it's because we are in this elevation of frequency. But there's classrooms that are second grade classrooms. There's places where people are doing earlier three-dimensional, well, four-dimensional, length, width, height, time, where people are doing four-dimensional study that are earlier study than Earth. And there's other classes that aren't Earth that are doing the same four-dimensional study. There's a whole lot of classrooms. This is just the one we're in. So it's on track, you're on track. And the single thing I've had to cling to when stuff really looks sucky weird, because my life just doesn't follow a normal linear track, hasn't, continues not to, which resulted in me doing this rather than engineering. But the thing I really cling to is really early on, guidance told me two pieces that have been precious. One, everybody gets there. You can't not get there. All roads lead to Mecca. All roads lead to completion. Everybody gets there. And two, you can't be late. You can't get there any sooner than you get there, but you can't get there any later than you get there. And when you get there, there's no time anymore, so you can't be late. Everybody gets there. And you get there when you get there, that's the time when you get there and you're on time. Back to Chris.
Unless Ginny wants to jump in, but when you mentioned San Francisco, I got a vision that I want to share. I was thinking how the whole city is evolving together. The whole city is working together in the project of being San Francisco. And to that end, there's all people live in their different houses. They come from where they come from, and then they head off to work. Some people go to work at the laundromat. Some people go to work at the big CEO business building. Other people go to work at the falafel shop. And Earth is kind of like, it's like Earth's a falafel shop, and you go there, you work at the falafel shop, you learn about falafels, you learn how to make the pitas, you get really good at it, and at some point maybe you go and work in a different place, and there's people working in all kinds of different ways throughout the city, and all of it brings the city forward, brings everyone living in the city forward. That city brings the world forward, and it stacks like that. It, ridiculous, but I thought it was fun.
There's a really interesting piece that I want to toss in, Chris. Sorry to interrupt.
Please.
And that is Jesus and Buddha took on huge roles to be that entity became a symbology upon which lots and lots and lots of human beings attach as the image of what it was they taught. But I have to say that Hitler and Pol Pot also took on, and any other politician you'd like to add into that that might be more current, also took on huge symbolic presence with their entity. I mean, if you think of our polarity at the moment, we've just had a national leader that became very familiar first name basis around the world that has two sets of pull, both as people thinking of that particular thing, that particular side of humanity that was represented as being the most evil we have ever seen, and people thinking that particular slice of humanity that was represented as being, oh, thank God, finally we have sanity and a clear path, and God has finally rewarded us with a true leader. All of that symbology is being attached to that entity who volunteered to step forward and be that lightning rod. So God bless every one of them that took on 36 scoops of dog breath so that I didn't have to take on any. And let's put them in that framework that it's all an energetic cycle. It's all part of the same structure. It's all part of the same movement. And sometimes we really need a big example of something for an individual to go, yep, that's not what I'm going to do. Sometimes we need a big example for an individual to go, that is what I'm going to do. And then, oh, swear word, that didn't turn out how I thought it was going to turn out. Now I've learned from that and I've realized. I had to take that corner as fast as I could, leaned over as hard as I could before I found out if I leaned further than that, I got another lesson in a scraped knee and how to take care of one. Sometimes we got to push those limits, but those entities that take on these key drawing roles, those entities carry that. Think how many people still tug on Jesus. Oh, Jesus, you send me the prize from the prize patrol, and whatever else they attach there. Those entities take on that big piece and have threads to that, which, by the way, leads me to another piece. Sorry, I'm rambling forever. One thing I've noticed is that I've been doing some work with it, and the polarizing lightning rod that's in the middle of our news regularly for the last many years. What I'm catching on to is some entities have an ability to basically just fling out. There's a word in the metaphysical world called CORD, cords. CORDS, cords. And when we have cords, we have connected psychically to other people, and we're tugging on them to find out how we're doing, to find out if we're okay, to find out if they approve of us or whatever. It turns out that some people have this natural ability to just send out a gazillion cords in every direction. And anybody that takes notice of them, that velcros that cord in. So if you notice that the most recent leadership in the White House either tugs on you to glory or tugs on you to rage, you're corded with that fine fellow. Cords come into your body, left-hand side, basically where your left elbow touches your ribs. They go through every part of you that they interact with. Getting rid of them is simply a matter of set your will and wiggle them out the same way you'd pull a weed out of soft soil because you want to get it out from every part of you. Wiggle them out, roll them back on themselves, and let them roll back up like those party blowers that roll back on themselves when you quit blowing. Pull them out, left side of your body, simply will it. You don't even have to know who they are. You don't need any of them, even if it's your kid or your parents. Pull them out, roll them back on themselves, let them roll away from you, and then fill your body with white light. Every time you notice somebody tugging on your brain, even if it's a world leader in the news, pull the cord out, roll it back on itself, and fill your body with white light. There's your lesson for the day.
And cords and the algorithms that honestly, social media, Silicon Valley's really figured out how to cord us in advertising and all this different stuff to also kind of control the narrative, to use those energetic cords in that way as well. And so there's in some theory and places I've meditated and gone to is that we all have a cord to each other, to every person on the planet in some way. It's just how is it being activated, and the people who are taking on that really intense negative karma, to show us what not to be are just as important to our evolution as the people who do, like Christ and Buddha. Of like take the path of humility, or take a path of love. And so we choose what we follow, and we choose in between those two heavy extremes, this very, very heavy polarized images and stories and people, histories that we've seen and experienced on the planet. And ideally, it teaches us how to use our own personal power, our creative life force, as well as our free will, to do what's not only what's like good for us, but in connection to that everything we do affects the whole. Like if we are literally all a part of the same being, think about when a cell in your heart starts to act up, it affects your brain, it affects your stomach, it affects your liver, it affects everything. And this is something that we are evolving out of, like that second grade classroom to the third grade classroom, as Scout likes to put it, is we're coming out of this awareness of a singular experience into recognizing that we're all connected, and the importance of using those connections in the best way possible for all of us, not in some singular way.
Adding on to that thought about the interconnection, and also Scout's piece about everybody taking on different plates in the cafeteria line to help out the people behind them, is a teaching that has really stuck with me and really helped me through difficult or challenging energies that I've worked on or healed personally, is the notion that everything you heal personally, everything that you process personally, is something that you're healing and processing for the collective at large as well. And taking on that that kind of awareness around it, so that you can see that everything as being part of the broader interconnection, and not just a personal struggle, but really an actually heroic thing, that everything that you work through, you're helping clear out of the planetary body and consciousness as well. But with that, I'm going to pause us for a few minutes, and right here at the middle of the Spirit Talk around 12:30 is when we do a 5-minute meditation break. And I think today it is Scout's turn, so I'm going to let him ground and center us, and then we'll move on to some more discussion.
Cool. Thanks, Chris. So, I was going to say, I'm used to doing this on the radio show that I do, and reminding people not to close their eyes if they're driving, but you guys probably not driving. We're safe. So what I'll do is I'll just simply invite you. You may find this easier if you close your eyes to follow this picture, but just let yourself draw in a long, deep breath till your lungs are full, and let that air flow out again. And as you're ready for another breath, let it be a long, deep breath. And this time, imagine the air flowing out through your body as if your body were layers of silk or fabric. And with each breath, let the air flow in and let it flow out through your body, feeling your body open and expand. And in your imagination, I'd like you to imagine reaching a hand down into the center of this planet Earth, stirring that hand in that warm, rich, dense energy there in the center of the planet, and then curl that imaginary hand into a cup and use that cupped hand now to draw a streamer of energy from the center of the Earth right up through the Earth, directly beneath you, up and into your body. It's just energy passing through energy. And connected there at your first chakra, allowing that area down there at your tailbone area, allowing that to warm and soften and expand. And now draw that streamer of energy from the center of the Earth, stretch it up to bring it up into your low belly area, your second chakra. Associated color is orange, but simply allow yourself to feel that area from your abdomen down past your tailbone, all the way down to the center of the Earth, connected and matching in that same warmth, unified, connected. And stretching that stream of energy up just a little further. Draw it up into that energy reserve, that energy battery just above your navel, and simply allow yourself letting that whole upper part of your abdomen warm, relax the grip, relax the tension, and allow it to fill and expand like inflating a balloon. And as you let that continue to inflate, stretch that streamer of energy from the center of the earth up to your solar plexus, your third chakra, associated color yellow. And again, simply let yourself feel that warmth and connectedness from solar plexus through upper belly, through lower belly, through tailbone, on down into the center of the earth. Feel yourself with your solar plexus almost balanced on top of that beam of energy from the center of the earth. Lifted, uplifted. And you may feel some compression in that solar plexus. Just let it relax, let it expand. You're allowed to let your frequency, your essence, your energy radiate out from inside of you, and you're allowed to let it magnetize your surroundings. At the same time, draw that stream of energy from solar plexus up in your body to heart level and connect it in at heart level, letting it connect and flow and warm and expand, feeling that connection from heart through solar plexus, through upper belly, lower belly, tailbone, down Earth's core source. One open stream, one open beam. And draw that energy from heart level up to the base of your throat. Heart level was 4th chakra green, throat is 5th chakra blue. And let it warm and connect into that throat. And just imagine how much you could relax if you knew you would always be heard when you needed to be heard. In fact, if you knew you'd be heard for your intent, even if that were beyond your words. Just let yourself imagine that as you stretch that beam up into the middle of your head, 6th chakra, associated color indigo, that blue-black color, looking away from sunset. And let that expand and relax to simply let yourself know what you know. And draw that streamer of energy from the center of the earth, now feeling it all the way up through the earth, up your body, just in front of your spine, not in front of you, but moved back inside your body, just in front of your spine, all the way up through your torso, through your neck, through your head, to the chakra at the top of your head, associated color is violet or purple. Let it connect there. And then draw that out the top of your head and take it all the way on up and into what I'll call source, a big energy cloud up overhead. And pierce it into source, and now willfully set your mind and your will to have earth density energy flowing right up through your body system, fountaining into, geysering into that cloud of energy that's source. Now, for those of you that are sensitive, you'll notice that when you've established that beam, that higher frequency source energy will transmit or conduct right down that beam through you into earth. But that's not your job. Your job is to maintain that sense of an open beam of energy from the center of the earth, guided right up through your body, up and into source, and simply allow that to create a glow from deep inside of you, and let that glow shine right out through you and right out through everything around you: floors, chairs, walls, ceilings, people, baby ducks, baby rhinos, baby leopards, whatever's in your neighborhood, scout redeeming newspaper worthy lotto winnings, whatever you've got in your reality system, let that glow right out through it. Now, continue to come back to an awareness of that beam, even as we continue our conversation. So give your body a big breath. And as you let it out, just let it bring your eyes back open and bring you right on back into our group and into wherever you are. Welcome back.
The fun part of Spirit Talk where I get to find out if I can glow and host at the same time after Scout's meditation. I thought the next cool place to take this would be to ask about how Earth School might be changing and evolving with us as we heal and evolve and ascend ourselves. I think this probably gets into talking about ascension a little bit, the idea of that and just what that entails. And so let me pass that over to Ginny first and get her take on Earth itself as an evolving being as well.
Ideally, things become lighter. And we already see that happening. You know, if we look at history as we know it, in this current cycle, in this current place where we are in the yugas, you know, we aren't as evolved as we once were. But in our current state, you know, in the history that we have as a reference point, we can see that our world has become less violent, less dense, our lives have become longer, and things have become easier. you know, we're coming out of like collectively, like during the time frame of those yugas, we kind of go through a couple of major growth periods, and one of them being survival. And survival is a very intense growth period. It's very violent. It's very, it lacks morality, and it's intense. It's very, very intense. And so, you know, we've evolved past that collectively, although, you know, we're recognizing more and more how sensitive we are as beings. Even if you look at the generations of your own family and maybe a theme like discipline, think of how your grandparents were treated, and then think about how your parents were treated, and think about how your parents treat you, and how, if you have children or plan to have children, how you plan to treat them. You can see we're becoming more gentle, and recognizing the sensitivity and the harshness, and the kind of, not necessarily that we backslide, but when we're not gentle and when we're not connected and we're not coming from love as a source of teaching, what happens to individuals, what happens to us as mankind, what happens. And it's really an impactful thing to kind of look at more intensely. So as I see us ascend, our lives just get longer, our world becomes gentler, our, you know, lessons, you know, become more interconnected. And we see all of that as something beautiful. And so it just feels like, as Scout kind of refers to Atlantis as kind of like it evolved into a different state of being, there's, I can see a similarity happening with Earth as we become less polarized and operate more in a middle ground and more of a connectedness, that we get to, our lessons don't necessarily change. The themes will, in my opinion, will always be related to our 7 chakras, our 7 main chakras, in some form or fashion, but how our approach to them will be different. Similar to how the body has evolved and changed over time, you know, but its basic function has stayed the same, you know, as a vessel. So, you know, we'll get to see these light nuances in, like, maybe the way our digestion tract looks, or how big our brain, you know, gets, or the shape of, you know, our body, our eyes, our, you know, different things will evolve with us. But I don't think that that's necessarily the focal point. The focal point being that as we ascend, we move closer and closer into the energy of love, and back to the consciousness that is genuinely home for us all.
I can't wait to have 8 arms, a tail, and wings while I'm doing my human karma journey.
Don't you already?
Perhaps on some level.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we promised we weren't going to tell him about that.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess publicly on YouTube live is not the best place, but you know.
Wait till he noticed for himself. Earth, reality system, evolution, ascension, and all that stuff in 5 minutes or less. That should be easy. I always like to point out that the individual who's been reprising his role as Dalai Lama, a part of his prayers include my summary as a non-Tibetan Buddhist. A part of his prayers include, it's okay, everybody, I'll be here till everybody gets done, and I'll leave last and I'll catch the lights. And that really is a part of his prayers, that he will continue to come into this frequency till everybody that's going to be moving from this frequency up a notch completes that, and then he'll, you know, basically exit last and turn off the lights. Although I don't know about the turn off the lights part, that's not actually in the prayer. The other part is, which I think is remarkably generous in terms of the, wouldn't we all really rather just move up to that elevated frequency where we no longer need physiological, painful lives to motivate us to learn? All of these different classrooms of reality systems, each one, each universe, each university, each university is its set of studies and is being moved up and elevated to join that original wholeness. Now, I can't see far enough to find out if the original wholeness is also being elevated to join with a whole bunch of other original wholenesses into a bigger original wholeness. I don't know how many layers deep God runs, but we're inside this one, so this is ours. It is what we're doing. It is what we're here for. And we can't not do it, and we can't not get it. And everybody finishes, and everybody gets it right, and everybody gets there exactly on time. And my favorite joke that is seemingly only funny to me is that we have all the time in the world to actually finish out these lessons. Now, the reason that that's a joke is that once we've all finished it, there isn't any more time and there isn't any more world. And so for as long as we're not done, there's still time and there's still world. So anyway, all right, it's funny to me. Some jokes just don't carry if you have to explain them. It is what we are. It's not what we're doing. It's not what we're doing at the moment. It is what we are, infiltrating through what we're doing. There's a huge concept about manifestation, or the law of positive attraction, whatever you want to name it, positive visualization, think and grow rich. There's a huge rule about manifestation, which is this: we have a tendency to think that what we do is we get to have the stuff you'd have if you were the thing, and then we get to do the stuff we do if you were the thing, and then we get to be the thing we'd be if we were the thing. You know, if we were rich, if we were famous, if we were beautiful, whatever else we're wanting to manifest. And it's the other way around. It's all about be that energetic you would be. If you were rich, be that energetic you would be. If you were conscious, be that energetic you would be. If you were elevated, be that energetic you would be. As far as you can imagine it, as deeply in yourself as you can create it, be that energy you would be. Which then means that whatever you're doing it the way you would be doing it when you are being that energetic that you would choose to be. And in being that energetic, everything you're doing reflects that energetic and makes you a magnet that draws that particular style of refrigerator to your touristy picture, or whatever else you have on yourself as a refrigerator magnet. So it makes you a magnet for that frequency. It draws that frequency. But the fun part about affirmations, the fun part about manifestation, the fun part about being the change you'd wish to be, is paying attention to the parts of you that run counter to that or want to argue with that, and going in and doing whatever you need to do to untangle the part of you that would argue with you being that particular energetic state. The part of you that says, well, yeah, but then great, clean that part out, bring it all into alignment. In the world I look at, God, I wish I could just pull you guys into my head and let you see what I'm looking at. It makes it so much easier. Another vision, and I've had a limited number of them, so it's surprising that I get to talk about 2 in one workshop. But another vision that I've experienced my way through was guidance took me out from the planet to see the planet. Well, it took me out from the planet to see humanity, and then to see the planet, and then to see the unification of humanity, and then to see the planet as a planet, and then to be able to see a stack of energetic levels that Earth was partway up the stack, and there were other reality systems that looked like a planet and had a name called home further down the stack, and there were other reality systems that looked like a planet further up the stack. From inside each one of those reality systems, it looked like normal, home, whatever their word would be for home. Our word is earth, terra firma. It looked like home. But from outside, you could see the progression as it moved forward. So my latest analogy is laundry. If you think of earlier times and it looks like, wow, you know, in Atlantis, we had that telepathic connection and it wasn't hard and all this other good stuff. Yeah, but at the same time, we weren't dealing with this level of separation. So early laundry, all our clothes were the same thing. We took it down to the river and we pounded on it with a rock, and maybe we discovered soap and we pounded on it with a rock and soap. And then we had machines, but the machine just had an on and off button. And then we had machines that had cycles. And I was visiting with friends recently. We carefully overlapped our quarantine pods. We hyper isolated before I went. We temperature checked and blood ox checked. So it was all cool. And we overlapped our pods. And I was visiting with some friends. And I went to do a quick load of laundry because I had figured I would do that. So I packed light. And I discovered that I don't know how to do laundry modern style. My washing machine is much older than their washing machine they bought last year. I had to program an entire frigging computer, starting with power on, to get my laundry to wash and to try and guess what all these various things. Well, is it a light load? No, I don't have to do a load. It measures the load. I don't have that anymore, but I do have, this, that, or the other, and whatever. And it was like, whoa. I learned much deeper concepts about the idea of operating a washing machine, the same way that as our reality system has progressed, we've learned much deeper concepts about the separateness and the other parts of our lesson. See, it did tie in. One of the things that's going on as we're watching this elevate, one, your connection to that which is psychic-y stuff is getting way closer. Kind of like if we had a neighbor's yard that has a lemon tree that sort of hangs over our fence, but it's a 10-foot fence or an 8-foot something, but we used to have to jump up to try and pick a lemon. Well, that extended frequency, it's sort of like now we've got scaffolding in place along the wall. And if we just stand on the scaffolding, we can easily reach a lemon. And the scaffolding's being elevated to where pretty soon we'll be able to reach over and grab a lemon. Our disconnect from intuitive stuff is getting closer. So the stuff you allow to run in the background of your subconscious is manifesting faster. The time delay between thought and thing decrease, but also time of physical time versus thought time increase. So time's moving faster, but the differentiation between you and your psychic self closer. We've built a scaffolding. The differentiation between you and those that have crossed over on the other side of the veil closer. We've built a scaffold. The lemons of being on the other side of the veil are way closer than they used to be. So you may have noticed big waves of people that aren't on the planet that you're missing lately. Those big waves have been because the lemons are hanging over the fence and you're on the scaffold and you can sort of see them head on. That didn't work. The people that have crossed over, we're closer to the veil than we used to be. So the ones on the other side of the veil are closer to us. That kind of worked. Okay. All of that is going on in this increase of frequency so that you're getting faster psychic links. You're getting faster psychic hits. You're getting way more. Why didn't I listen to myself? Opportunities. You're getting all of that stuff, including bounced around by whatever's going on in the people next to you, because that sensory mechanism is picking up their broadcast. That was a whole ton of information, but I think I'm supposed to stop now. Go, Chris.
It's all good. We got a couple minutes left here, and the last question I had, Scout, you actually just touched on it when you were giving us that download. So I'm going to just give this to Ginny for 3 minutes, and then we'll wrap up. But I wanted to ask about the other kinds of schools.
I think I just politely got told I already had my turn.
Kind of, but also you psychically apprehended where I wanted to wrap up, and I've already commented on it, so it's all good. I want to ask about the other kinds of reality systems, other kinds of schools that are possible. If on Earth it looks this way, if on Earth it's this kind of evolution, how might some other schools present in ways that aren't familiar to us? I think Scout just touched on this when he mentioned lots of different planets stacked on lots of different layers, so they're being all brought up from different frequencies together. Maybe this is too big for Ginny to do in 2 minutes.
I was gonna say, yeah, do that in 2 minutes, Ginny, go.
Real fast. Well, as you can imagine, God is infinite, and there's no way for us to understand God. Especially in this body, in this very kind of limited mind, limited capacity. And so as deep as you can fathom God to be, is as deep as the schools and the universes and the availability for our spiritual development. So if you think of God as an empath, right? There's a place, where you can study empathy. There's places where you can study spirituality. There's places where you can study the dark. There's places where you just are of the light. We kind of have like a really great clue into how that looks and how that manifests through the beings that have supported and helped us here on the planet. Whether you look at those as aliens or you look at them as angels, There's definitely been different energies here on the planet kind of supporting us in our own evolution. And so when you kind of, if you've had experiences in that vein, then you may have a clue in like, oh, that was kind of a dark energy afoot. There was a guide, or kind of something that felt evil to me around. Well, yeah, that probably didn't come directly from here. That's coming from another planet. And stuff like that. So just as much as you have an angel or something kind of acting as a guardian for you, they've also manifested on another place and established spiritual connection there. And so as deep and as vast as God is how infinite our training realms and possibilities are. And so I would encourage everyone to just kind of blow out their seventh chakra and to meditate in that for a little bit and see what you come up with for yourself of, if you can dream it, if you can think of it, it exists. So, that's another methodology to kind of come into play there is like, if you look at it, if you imagine it, you can experience it, it exists. So, I wouldn't put any sort of limitation on what that can be and just let yourself be a gentle explorer, especially in the way of light and love. Just see what you can come up with to the deepest points of your imagination because you're being fed that information. And you're probably also opening up to something you've experienced before. So that'll be my 2-minute wrap up on galaxies and God consciousness.
That was perfect. I knew you could do it. Great.
Thanks, Chris.
Sure.
I appreciate your belief.
It took Douglas Adams 4 books to get all the way up to God, the universe, and everything.
Wow. I'm feeling pretty good then.
Well, let's close it off then. Ginny and Scout. Scout first, would you like to go ahead and let us know what you're up to and where we can find you?
One of my contributions to the community, a part of my tithing, is I produce and host a radio show that broadcasts in San Francisco on KEST 1450 AM. Yes, there really is AM radio. But even more importantly, it streams through our website, ifidknownthen.com, which I think is right there. But it streams through our website, or there's a shortcut, which is not Scott for obvious reasons. Notscott.com takes you in. It streams there. We've also archived them there. So there's, I don't know, I think 400 hours of spiritual and consciousness teaching in there that you can have for free. You have to register for the website. We don't buy, steal, sell, or monetize that information. But I'd ask you to join our mailing list additionally so that you can get in on our other events. I do private sessions. I am always open to new clients, and those are by phone or by Zoom. I'm getting my One of the Month workshop series back running. I'm just stumbling over some pieces, but it may turn out that the first one will be, oh crap, let's just do it today. And I'll send out an email and you'll do it today. So you'll want to be on the email list for that. Love you guys much. And Ginny, tell them how to get a hold of you.
Well, you can find me through my website, which is right there maybe. And I do individual sessions, group counseling, family therapy, that sort of thing. So feel free to reach out if you feel like you need some support in untangling belief systems, you're curious about your past lives, your connection or karma with others. Happy to support you. I do a daily meditation at 8 a.m. Monday through Friday from 8 to 8:30, and then on the weekends 9 to 9:30. It's free, donation-based, so feel free to drop by and say hello.
And for me, you can get at me through my email, which is unlimitedastrology@gmail.com. And I got some more stuff in the works, be announcing that in the future Spirit Talk. And then to follow us and to keep up with Spirit Talk and what we're doing, go to our Facebook page is the best place because we make all our announcements there, post all the replays there. It's facebook.com/First Friday Spirit Talk. And we have a YouTube channel as well. I've got the link for that in the chat here. When we have enough subscribers, it'll have an easy to remember URL as well, but they don't let us do that until we have 100 subscribers. So help us out. And we'll be back next month on Friday, March, whatever it. I think it might be, it's the 5th again. Friday, March 5th at noon on Zoom. Thanks for joining us, everyone. This was a blast, and we'll see you again.